Hello, and thanks for joining me on this tutorial of making blood brain. Oh, Halloween's really just around the corner, and it is my very favorite holiday. I was making some oatmeal today, and I thought, hey, you know what? I'm just gonna make a quick, easy tutorial on making bloody brains. It is really, seriously, that easy where you could do it after breakfast and have some brains for dinner. So here we have our quick oats, and I really just bought the cheapest that I could. And then you have to have some blood. I use this blood here, but and it is non-toxic and edible, so you can put your brains in your mouth after, you know, pretend that you're eating them, get dressed up, put it on a plate. I mean, there's lots of different things that you could do with your brain. You can put all kinds of different things into your oatmeal. I actually saw some people putting in bananas, maybe make sure they're old and black, because that's gonna really give it that old rot type look where your brain has been, you know, mushing. It's going to mush. You could put some beans in there, and then you can always top it off with some rice, good old rice, to make it look really gross and maggoty. Maybe you could put some leaves in there. It really doesn't matter. You can get creative. Just, it's free reign. And then I like to have a Ziploc bag so I can actually put my brains in there and store them. I have a towel here and a wet washcloth so you can keep your hands clean, because this stuff will dye your fingers. So if you have like a wedding or something really important to go to, wear some rubber gloves because it'll stain. Now, with the blood, you could actually make your own with corn syrup and some red dye. I was thinking about smashing up some pomegranates inside of some corn syrup and maybe making some blood that way too, and then it would be more natural, and it actually might be a little bit tastier. This has a mint flavor. You can put all of this in your mouth after, like I said. So let's get started. You can see that my oatmeal has been sitting here for a while, and then it's the perfect texture. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna slap some, I'm gonna take this top layer and just leave it on the plate. And then there's this really weird, like flaky kind of stuff. I never noticed that before, but that looks like that could be some great skin. So if you want, you know, what I'm doing is it's this flaky stuff around the outside. Just try to keep that separate. Oh my, that could look great. You can actually take that and maybe put it on top of your face, and it almost looks like a latex. I love using latex. I might make a different tutorial. I have one on making a latex scar. It's a lot of fun. So I'm just going to get my brains, put them in this bowl. I'm gonna cut back, you know, on some of these. I have a pretty small bowl here. But you know, you get the idea, and then you can make different batches. Okay, so I'm just gonna kind of rough that up a little bit. Now I'm going to mix in my blood. All right, so here I go. I've poured in my blood. It already looks awesome. I mean, you can see how you really don't need a whole lot of anything. And once you mix in the blood, it's crazy. It looks awesome. Okay, so I'm going to, you know, get this prepared, and I'll come right back. All right, so I have most of it mixed up, you know, just roughly. And, you know, when it's Halloween, you just have to really use your imagination. You have to think in your mind, you know, what do I want to see? What do I think brains looks like? You know, I mean, nobody's perfect. And a lot of times people, oh, I don't like Halloween, and oh, this isn't good enough, or I need to be better. It's about just doing it. So get your brains, have an image in your head. If not, Google brains. Google brains and look at what would a brain look like. Then you can just mold it. So I'm like thinking half a hemisphere and then half a hemisphere I'll make, and then kind of put those two together if I wanted to display it. Otherwise, you know, you just hold this in your hand And once you're dressed up like a zombie, I mean, this looks like brains. Do you want some bloody brains? Okay, all right, so like I said, you know, just think about brains. This doesn't have to be the biggest brain. We didn't say what kind of brains you needed to make. I'm going to mold that hemisphere of the brain. You know, and right now you're like, oh, that just looks like oatmeal on a plate. But once you're dressed up, it's Halloween, things change. You know? All right, I'm gonna pour my blood in there. You know, I'll just play around with that a little bit so it gives it some depth. You know, when you're doing makeup or anything like this, you want to have darker in the cracks, lighter up, you know, on the top layer. I'm just taking a fork here. Well, here's my split between my hemispheres. So I really want to make sure that that is going to be defined. And then I'm just going to actually take my fork end and kind of make some, you know, I don't know what those things would be called in your brain, but it looks like lines or squigglies or intestine type thing. Starting to look a little bit like chopped meat, so I don't want to play with it too much more. I will just put more blood in it. Anybody want some brains? Hope you enjoyed this tutorial.